Berkshire making waves with a cut to its Bank of America stake this week. The company, Berkshire, which just fell back out of the trillion-dollar club, has now revealed stakes in everything from beauty to banks. And we're trading the moves in a special edition of Three Buys and a Bail. Jeff Kilburg is here for that. KKM Financial's founder, CEO, and a CNBC contributor. Jeff, in the interest of time, I might want to run through some of the buys quickly here, which are Chubb and Oxy and Ulta. Let's start with Chubb, which it's not too late, up 28% year to date.
It's been having a great run, and it's been, the top 6 holding right now. When you look at Warren Buffett, the top 9 holding, I think this is insurance. We actually own this in the Essential 40 portfolio. If you think about AIG, its competitor, it's twice the size of AIG. So when you look at Chubb, it's a diversified portfolio. Believe it or not, Kelly, 40% of the revenue is coming overseas. It's not just property and casualty. They're actually doing life insurance business in Asia. So I think you continue to own Chubb here, just like we do in the Essential 40.
Kind of a different story for Occidental, or Oxy, which is down 13% this year. A lot of people think that Berkshire likes to come in when it's, below 60. It's at 51 right now. Why hasn't the stock done better?
I think you have to look at WTI crude oil, Kelly. Here we are in the 60s. Crude oil went down to $65, and you saw a 52-week low in Oxy crack $50. However, I feel comfortable here. This is the number 6 holding of Berkshire Hathaway, and I think Warren really sees upside here. I think it's definitely correlated with the price of oil, but when you think about what he owns and the ability to own even more, he owns 30% of the company. He can take his stake up even higher to nearly half. 50% regulators allowed. But I think this is something you have to be patient with. And if you see any resolve in the Middle East, the Gaza Strip, if you see that, this is a proxy to own crude oil, and you're going to want to own Occidental.
It's so hard. You always think, I would go with Buffett. Look how well they've done, or Berkshire, let's say, broadly speaking. But then when you buy one of the stocks that's out of favor, it's still hard, to have that confidence. Which
you
brings
have to be patient, Callie.
Indeed.
He's 94 years old. He has a little bit of patience.
Well, he's had a lot of patience. Munger always said, we're just disciplined about what we buy. What about Ulta, speaking of which is down 22%? This is a buy for you as well?
It is. It's a new holding for them. And it's interesting. There's another pretty good investor named Ken Griffin who just purchased about $50 million of exposure. But this is one of the smallest portfolio holdings for Berkshire at about $300 million. But I think it's fascinating to see there's 1,500 stores. It hasn't really moved anywhere, Kelly, in 3 years since COVID. It's still down about 30% from that perspective. I think it's offering value. And I like the fact that it's a new purchase. He hasn't been buying much. He's been selling more, right? He's sitting on nearly $300 billion in cash.
Absolutely.
So this is a little bit eye-opening for such a small cap.
No, and one of the places they've been selling, which caught a lot of people by surprise, it was supposed to be this tentpole position, and it's Apple. They've sold, 50% of their position? Yeah, it's still a large one, but that's a bail for you too, isn't it?
It's a soft bail. I still own Apple. I'm going to own it. I own it in an eco-weighted manner, not in the typical way most investors own it in market cap, but they still own $87 billion of exposure. They're still dedicated to that. But the iPhone 16 did underwhelm. And I think short term, you may see some more profit taking. If you have to look at one of the best names of this 4, you're seeing Chubb and Apple. Those are the only 2 in the red. So you could see more profit taking in Apple. But I want to be a soft bail here or trim it a little bit, Kelly.
You can't invent something called a soft bail. No, you absolutely
Why
can.
not?
You have full permission. You can invent anything you want. What about Berkshire itself? They're kind of soft bailing on buybacks, which they did very few of last quarter. It's at 1.6 times book value, a little bit higher than it's been lately. And Ajit Jain just sold a bunch. And some people say maybe it's for charitable purposes, but nevertheless, it was a big sale. What about BRKA?
I think the recent sale, Ajit is 73 years old. He has a philanthropic kind of leading that decision. But I think if you look at BRKB, we actually own that. I've owned it for quite some time. We're really happy with the performance. But I think you have to understand and take a step back, Kelly. The criteria that Buffett has used in his 94 years of investing is a very high criteria. It's a high threshold to understand what he wants to buy. So he's being very picky, sitting on cash. He sees something coming that maybe other investors don't. But we're still sticking with Berkshire Hathaway. This is a diversified portfolio we love owning.